guys, just a really quick intro to this one. What I've done is I've actually merged two videos together. So one of them was the original Sonoff switch that I got fitted in the garden. Didn't do a full walkthrough of how to do it because it was too bloody cold, so I just set it up and explained what I'd done. What I've then done is I've done another video where I've wired one of these Sonoff basic switches into a lamp that is in the side of my kitchen, shown you how to do that in that video, and then talked you through on the app what to do as well. So I've merged them together. They're probably not in the greatest, it doesn't really make sense where they're merged, which is why I've just put this in as another intro before the original videos start. So hope they help you. I've been really pleased with the Sonoff stuff and I'll probably get some more of it. Watch the video, see what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Cheers. Good evening, YouTube. Just thought I'd do another little vlog and a bit of a review. It's not really a review because it's only arrived today, but it's something that I just thought I'd show you, that I've bought more to house my tech rather than being any tech. So a little while ago I bought a Sonoff basic, which is a little inline, I'll show you in a bit, it's a little inline switch that basically you can cut in and connect to an extension lead or an appliance and make that appliance smart. Recently I had, or not recently, last year I had plug sockets put in my garden. So I had 3 waterproof double plug sockets put out in the garden. One just by my decking, so you could plug in a light, a stereo, whatever you wanted up there, the double plug sockets. One at the front of the decking, which was intentionally for a water feature that has been done, but the pump, I need to buy a new pump. And then one over by the barbecuing area, again in case it needs a light or anything else electrical plugging in. That all works great. And then my wife decided that she wanted to add some lights to the garden, which originally we did with some solar lights, which work fantastically well in the summer and in the evenings when the sun has set and casts off great light all through the night in the summer. But we just don't get enough sun during the winter for them to get charged up properly or have any meaningful light in the evenings. And my wife wanted some light in the garden, so she bought 2, I guess, Victorian looking lamps that are now bolted to the decking, and she's thrown some Christmas tree style lights into a hedge in the garden, both of which plug into a plug socket, which is fine. But Muggins here has to go and turn them off all the time, and I don't know about you guys, but across England at the moment it's -6 degrees, and I've already fallen over on the decking once this week. I don't fancy doing it again. So what this does is this allows me to effectively turn an extension lead into a smart plug socket, or 4-gang smart plug socket, and it allows me to then plug those lights into the waterproof plug socket and basically not worry about it getting wet. Now the big problem is that you can't use a smart plug socket in the garden because it's an adapter, it's too big. It won't fit under the cover, so you can't close the cover. Therefore, it's not waterproof, and electricity and water don't mix. You don't want to leave that open. Equally, the Christmas lights that my wife has plugged in, they have it's a bit like a transformer. It's a much bigger plug than a normal 13-amp plug. So again, if that's plugged in, you can't shut the cover, so it renders it not waterproof. So at the moment they're unplugged, chucked on the floor because it's that cold. I thought, well, I can't be bothered to go in and out every evening, turning them on and turning them off. And this came up on Amazon rather, 15 quid. It's very simplistic, and that's because it is very simplistic. It's a plastic box that has holes cut out to run different wires through. Now that was 15 quid, and you look at that and think, a plastic box, 15 quid, that's a lot of money. And it is, but it also comes with a 10-metre extension, 4-gang extension lead. So what are they? They're normally what, 6-7 quid for a 10-metre one, I'd have thought. So really you're paying probably 8 quid for this box. Yeah, it's a lot of money for a plastic box, but it is waterproof and it does mean that I can leave these lights plugged in, not worry about the sockets getting wet. I can have it on timers, I can turn it on and off myself, and it'll be ideal. So that's what that's going to be used for. That's going to get thrown outside once I've installed the wiring. There's some Velcro bits here as well. Not really sure what they're for. I think that's to probably hold it in place, but I'm not planning on doing that, to be honest. I'm just going to sit it on the floor. Well, there's a drilling template, so you could mount it on the wall. I'm guessing that's why they've given you some Velcro if you wanted to do that, but yeah, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to lay it down flat, and that'll do me. That'll do absolutely fine, I think. So yeah, that's the box. So put that out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is basically, I've got my scissors here. I'm going to cut as close to, I didn't need anywhere near 10 metres. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about here into my brand new extension lead, like so. And what I will then do is essentially, you can get this out of the box and I'll show you how this works. This just has, I don't know if you can see it there, it's not very big, it's what's it, the same size as, it's an iPhone 10, so it's what, half the length of an iPhone 10, so it's quite small. What you've basically got is you've got a positive and negative in and a positive and negative out. So the in is going to be coming from the plug socket for power, and the out will then be going to the 4-gang plug. And then once you've connected that up, you've just got a button there to pair it up. You add an app, can't remember what the app is, it is in there, tells you which app it is. It's not Smart Life, so this will be a first using something other than Smart Life. But these are dirt cheap, they're £8. You can turn any device smart with this, as long as you're confident cutting and rewiring an extension lead, which I ain't got a problem doing. So cheap option, £7-8. I think you can get like 2 of them for 15 quid, 3 of them for cheaper, and the more you buy, cheaper it gets. And you can literally turn any device you wanted to into a smart device. Now, it's not the ideal because obviously you're cutting cables, etc, etc. The ideal is a smart plug socket, or you've got the RF wave stuff where it's an actual smart plug, a smart plug socket rather than an adapter. That obviously doesn't take up any room, so that's a good option. But this, for this installation in particular, is perfect because it doesn't take up much space, so it can comfortably go in that box and be waterproof. And I can then move that where I need it to be, because the big concern I've got, and this is the only thing I'm not sure of, I'm not sure that it's going to work, is what the range of this is in relation to my Wi-Fi signal at the back of the house by the garden. Ultimately, again, if it's crap, I can just buy another one of the TP-Link extenders. So in my other video review of my Virgin router and my network and stuff, I explained about the TP-Link Wi-Fi extenders that I've got. What you can do with those is that one of the adapters goes in and takes internet from the router, the other one receives it and then broadcasts it on to wherever. So I could quite easily add another one of those either to the conservatory or to the kitchen if I needed to extend that signal and make that signal any better. So I'm not too concerned about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause there. I'm going to go and fit this to the cable, then I'll pick the video back up. Because I'm crap at editing stuff, it's not going to be a nice seamless thing. It'll be a stop and a start, and show you how I've connected it up. And then what I might do is do an actual recording on my phone, showing, if I can, do a screen recording on my phone showing how to pair it up and how the app works and stuff. So I'll leave it there. I'll go and get this connected up, and I'll be back in a few minutes to continue the video. So welcome back, guys. I said I'd show you how I connected this little Sonoff switch. I'll be honest, I struggled with it. Struggled to get the wiring in. I'm not sure if it is designed with a 3-core cable in mind. It works, and I'll explain what I've done in a bit more detail. But the problem that I have is the 3-core cable is just that little bit too thick, and it took a bit of a fight to get it inserted and tightened down onto the board. Once I've done that, you think, oh, okay, everything's going to be fine, and then the other side would pop out, and it fought me a little bit. And as I said in the last video, it's -6 degrees here at the moment, so pretty bloody cold, snow on the ground. I wanted to get it in, I wanted to get it set up, make sure it was working. So took it downstairs, plugged it into the kitchen, tried to pair it up to the Wi-Fi, no good, wouldn't connect. So I took it into the lounge, nearer to the router, tried to pair it up to the Wi-Fi, first time wouldn't connect. Second time though, connected up, no problem. And saw it, I labelled it garden lights, which is predominantly what it's going to be, and thought great. Took it out of the lounge, I thought I'll just test it in the kitchen before I venture outside, plugging it back in to see if it would reconnect to the network. It doesn't. So I think there's probably a bit of a flaw there, where if you do suffer power cuts or anything like that, you're going to have to remember that you need to be able to, get access to the Sonoff to press the pairing switch to get it back into pairing mode, to re-add it to the network, because mine just, once I'd unplugged it and moved plugs, it wouldn't then reconnect. Now I don't know if that is down to the fact I'd moved its plugs. I have had that with some of the smart plugs, that they'll pair up and connect and work fine, but then when you move them to a different location, even though it's in the same house, it needs to be reconnected. But if you unplug it and take it back to its original plug socket, it then connects fine, no problem. So I don't know if it's something like that. Haven't tested it far enough anyway, but I kind of decided at that point, well, I know it's working because I know it connected up from the lounge plug socket. So I thought, well, it's probably that the kitchen hasn't got great Wi-Fi signal or whatever. So rather than trying to re-add it there and then having to do it again outside anyway, I just thought, well, let's go outside. So I took the cable outside, took the box outside, plugged it all up, went into pairing mode, and this is quite similar to the light bulbs I talked about in my other video, where there's 2 pairing modes. So there's the access point pairing mode, or at least I think it's access point, it's AP mode, where it will come up as its own Wi-Fi network and you connect to that, and then it will go through the motions of reconnecting back to your Wi-Fi network. Or there's the one where it just tries to add to your wireless network. I'd found it wouldn't just add to the wireless network even when I was inside the house. So whilst I was stood outside, I thought, well, I'm not even going to try that, I'll just go straight to the access point pairing mode. Started it off, connected to the Sonoff with my phone, took the phone back to the kitchen once it started searching, and lo and behold, it paired up perfectly. And it works. So straight away I was able to turn the garden lights on and off that I've got plugged in. So I've got the 2 Victorian style lamps that my wife's bought plugged into. They're on one extension lead, or one, they join together, they're on one plug basically. But then I've also been able to throw the plug in the Christmas lights that she's got in the bush. I say Christmas lights, they're just fairy lights, and they're just white fairy lights, so they're not too Christmassy, but I've been able to plug that in as well. So straight away that paired up, that was then able to be controlled on and off from the phone, which I thought brilliant. Then I went to the Google Assistant, because it said on the box, don't know if you can see it, works with Google Home. So you expect it to work with Google Home. No instructions on that box, what app to use, what it's labelled as on Google Home, or anything. Luckily, someone's done a video. Of course they have. There's a video for everything. It's how we learn all our skills these days. Instead of it being called eWeLink, which is what the app is called on the phone, it's called Smart WeLink. Just to add some confusion. But I was able to add that straight into the Google Home, put my username and password in, as you have to with Smart Life and the Nest account details, and it's transferred it all across. I've synced the devices, and lo and behold, it's now all on there. So I'm expecting, and I haven't tried this as yet, but I'm expecting when I go to bed tonight and tell the Google Home good night, that I'm expecting, instead of it saying turning 27 lights off, I'm expecting it to say turning 28 lights off, and hopefully it will, because then I know it's working. So let's give it a review. Let's give it a rating. As a device, for the cost point that this is, you can't go wrong. I've found these on the internet, £3.77. Now, if you compare that to a smart plug socket, an actual adapter one that plugs in the wall, generally most of those on Amazon are significantly more than that, 12, 13 quid. However, I have just found Sonoff have launched an adapter which apparently there are some Chinese sellers selling for £4.50, which you can't quite believe the price point of those. But comparing it to what is readily available in the UK, which is, I haven't seen the plug sockets, but I haven't seen the Sonoff plug sockets, but I have seen other plug sockets. The price point is much higher. You're looking, like I said, 12, 13 quid for the price point for the UK plug sockets. £3.77 for the Sonoff relays. From a price point, 5 out of 5. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's less than you pay for a sandwich at lunchtime and a bottle of pop or whatever. So price point, bang on. Design, it's small, it's durable, it's great from that point of view. So again, design wise, looks wise, good marks. 4, maybe even a 5. Practicality. Now, I have sausage fingers, so I don't have the most intricate of dealings when it comes to wiring things up, but I'm pretty adept at doing wiring. I have done a lot of wiring in the past, so I know what I'm doing, but it was just very, very fiddly, and I think that is probably down to the fact I've wired it into 3-core plug cable, which it says it's fine to do. It says that it can have between 90 volts and 250 volts as long as it doesn't exceed 10 amps. Well, 2 lights and whatever is nowhere near 10 amps, so there's no issue with that. But I think the cabling that is designed to go into the Sonoff is a smaller gauge than standard 3-core cable, so that was fiddly, frustrating, but it held up and it didn't fall apart like a lot of stuff does when you try to manipulate it and whatever. So from that point of view, I'd give it a 3. The only thing that would make it a bit better for me, I think, would be if it had slightly bigger access points for the cables, so that you could really clamp it down, get a good amount of cable in there and be really confident that you'd got it joined. Number of times I thought the cable was joined and screwed in, and it had pulled back out because it had moved or whatever. Quite frustrating, and that's predominantly why there isn't, at the start of this video, me showing you how it's all connected up, which I was going to do, but I forgot to do because I wanted to test it, wanted to get it all set up, and as I say, it's -6, but that's the only downside to it. It's a bit fiddly to set up. Having said that, if you're setting it up to a permanent fixture, so something like some lights in a garden or at the front of your house or whatever, then brilliant. Absolutely perfect, absolutely bang on. Why wouldn't you at £3.77 have several of those? I've got lights on the right hand side of my garden, which are the ones I've talked about, these coach lights and these lights in the bush. I might actually get some more for the left hand side of the garden, because if I've only got to go and buy a £3.77 Wi-Fi switch to control them, and I can then group them together and have it all on one voice command to turn all the garden lights on and off, then I don't see that as a big outlay to go and do that. So I may well add some more. But if not, by the looks of it, Sonoff are probably a good company to look out for, because it looks like they're bringing out quite a few products and not pricing them like some devices are. I've talked to you before about some of the tech that I've gone for. I know with the home speakers or the smart speakers, you're limited, aren't you? You've got Apple HomePod, 320 quid. and you wouldn't get away with just having one of those. You'd need several in the property that I've got to get it to work. And Siri is not as good as Google, despite my fact that I like Siri and it works well on the phone and stuff like that, but as a search engine, not as good as Google. You've got Alexa, which has its own limitations, and you've got Google, which has some limitations, but out of the three, my preference is the Google. That's your choice. And actually, from a price point, I've gone Google Home Mini, which is the cheapest one there. With my light bulbs, I didn't go Philips Hue because I thought they were too much money for what they were. I've gone for a cheaper Chinese alternative that so far seems to be working. Same, the Nest thermostat I've gone for, that I've still got to do a review on. Obviously that's an expensive bit of kit, but the heating is one of the most critical things within your home, so I didn't mind spending that extra cash on that. But as with a lot of the stuff I buy, I'm not being driven by, it has to be Nest, or it has to be Belkin or Wemo or stuff like that seems to have a real high premium price on it. Now I'm sure that premium price will come down as smart tech becomes more readily available, but at the minute it's not. And at the minute, if I can go and find something on an alternative website that is going to do the same thing, then I'm going to. And from my viewpoint, smart plug like that, £3.77, has just meant my wife is very happy because the garden lights can be back on when she wants them on, and she doesn't have to moan at me to go and turn them on and off because she can just do it from Google Home. So, win-win. Welcome to Robbio's Real Tech Reviews. So today I'm going to go through the Sonoff Basic Wi-Fi switch. I've done another video reviewing these previously with a bit of an unboxing, so I'll just go through the unboxing again. So within the box you get a Wi-Fi switch, which is about half the length of an iPhone, I'd say. Quite a chunky switch, but if you can hide it out of the way or not be too worried about the way it looks, it does a great job. The easy way of doing this and wiring this up is that it's got an input and an output. So it runs off mains electric, so your input is going to come from the plug wire in one side and then out to whatever device you want it to on the output side. You're then going to pair it to your wireless network, and once you've done that, you connect it through an app which you can then sync to the Google Homes, and it will work via voice activation. What I'm going to show you today is a wiring up of a lamp that I've already got the wires cut and prepared for. So I didn't think you'd want to watch me struggling with wire cutters and making a mess of the place and getting shouted at by my wife for having wire cuttings going everywhere and bits of copper. So I've already got them prepared. Word of warning with this, and I learnt this via my mistake on Monday, make sure you've got the wires all fully in and screwed up and done correctly, and make sure you've then put these covers on and screwed them in and done that correctly with the device unplugged. So on Monday I had another one of these. I've had to buy a replacement, and I thought all the wires were in properly, and they weren't, and the live and neutral touched, and bang, popped the fuse in the plug. I don't know if the fuse has gone in this one. I did replace it, but then I made another mistake and blew up the switch, which is why I've had to buy a replacement. I'd wired it up and everything looked to be okay. Whilst it was plugged in and switched on, I thought, oh well, just put the covers on. Put the cover on, put the metal screw in, something touched where it shouldn't have done, bang, and there is a black version of this which no longer does anything at all, doesn't switch on, doesn't flash any lights. It's basically ready for the bin. I am going to try and send it back to Amazon, but I'm not hopeful of getting anything back from them because realistically it was my fault for not turning it off when I was wiring it up. So that's basically that. So that's my word of warning, really. Be careful. Instructions in there, typical bloke thing, I'll throw those away. You don't need them, it really is that simple. So I'm going to just get straight into wiring this up. So also you get a bag of 4 screws. That's to hold the covers on. Now, in preparation of you not wanting to watch me do lots of wiring and taking ages, I've already slackened the screws off in these switches for the live and neutral. So make sure you've got those the right way around. So your live is brown and your neutral is blue. Once you've got those into the positive terminal, or into the terminal rather,
get the right screwdriver. Do those up until they're, you can see that just pulled the flex, so that's gone tight. Okay, so that's nice and tight. And before I go on to the other side, I'm going to put this cover on, which will crimp down and actually leave you a nice flex rather than the live wires on display. Just get the other one in. Now I'm not going to film me wiring up the other side. You can see what I've done, and I'm going to pause in a moment and go and wire up the other side. The reason I'm not going to record that is it's going to be a bit fiddly because there isn't much flex on the lamp, and I want to make sure I've got it all screwed in correctly. So I'll pause there in a moment and do that, and then I'll come back and show you how it works. But it's as easy as that. That is in, that is secure. I'll do the same on the other side, and then I will show you how it boots up, and I'll do a screen recording and show it in the app how it works and how you add it into that. So just want to shout out before I do that, thanks to the Grumpy Golfer who's here filming today. So on YouTube, make sure you follow him, Grumpy Golfer. I don't play golf, but I actually find his channel quite entertaining, just with him waffling on about golf. He's normally around my house waffling on about other stuff anyway, so I might as well learn a bit about golf. So give him a follow and see what he's all about and what he's talking about, and we'll be back to do the second half of this once I've wired this side in. Cheers guys. Right guys, I'm back. This is all wired up. As I said, it'd be a bit fiddly trying to film doing this as well because there ain't much flex on this side of the lamp. So it's now wired in situ. What I've actually done is I've actually cut out the original switch that was there, you know, the old flicker switch. I cut that out. I thought, well, you don't need that and this, so I've replaced that. What I've done is wired that up and tested it, and as I suspected, I did blow the fuse last Monday when I blew the other switch up. My wife now doesn't have a working microwave because I've nicked the fuse from that, but I'll have to go and buy some fuses tomorrow, otherwise she won't be able to cook dinner, which won't be too good. So just plugging this in now. If you don't do anything, if you just press the black button on and off, it will just work like a normal light switch, and once it's paired up you can still use it like that if you need to for whatever reason, if your internet goes down or anything like that. So it's good as an override really, that you can do that. What you need to do is, to get into the pairing mode, is press and hold the black button. You see the green light flash there hopefully. Once you've held it for a few seconds, it will go solid and it will start blinking. So what I'm going to do now is I will show you in the app how to pair it up. The link. So if you go into that, you'll see I've already got some devices. I've got two plugged in the kitchen cupboards under with the lights underneath there, and I've got some garden lights as well, which I've just turned on. Basically, as I said, I've put the device into pairing mode now. So all you need to do is hit add, quick pairing mode, which is what it's in, and then it will start pairing. So this will then go through the process. Hopefully it should connect fairly quickly because I'm relatively near to the router. I've been having problems with the Wi-Fi. It's a different type of build, this house, to my old house. My old house next door to the Grumpy Golfer used to get Wi-Fi all over it, no problem at all with just the standard router from Virgin. The new router from Virgin is rubbish, as you will see in a video I've done, but even with the Azus router that I've added, I'm not getting full coverage. So you'll see another video that I'll be doing tomorrow when it arrives around creating an AI mesh network with the Azus AC68U router. So I'm just waiting for this to update. So it's now saying it's found a second generation device. It's registering that device, and you can see it's labelled it. So I'm going to label this as side light. It lives on the kitchen side, hence the name. That actually doesn't really matter what the name is, because what I will do is I will be adding that to a group, which is the two cabinet lights, a light in my hallway and this one, that will be effectively seen by Google Home as one room. So you'll hear, we should hear, now, so that's now working, and that's it done. It's as simple as that. So quite an easy job to do. So yeah, very cheap, £9 for the chip, and you know, what's that taking me? 5-10 minutes to strip the wires, wire it up, and put it together, and it works great. So hopefully that's helped any of you. If you've got any questions around the Sonoff switch, if you want any help with it, drop a comment. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel, see what else I'm doing.